Hey everyone, welcome to the Active Towns channel. I am in Lehi, Utah here today, and I have some special guests, so let's turn the camera around. Gentlemen, please introduce yourself.
Okay, yeah, I'm Kim Struthers. I'm the Community Development Director here at Lehi City.
Fantastic, fantastic. And we have a familiar face here.
Mike West here. I'm the Planning Manager here for Lehi, Utah.
Once again. I think this is like the third time you've been on the channel.
It's awesome, I love it.
Fantastic. Gentlemen, what are we gonna see today?
Yeah, we're gonna see a community that, as we go through the tour, you'll see is very kind of auto-centric, but we're gonna see all the steps we've been taking to try and make it more bike-friendly, and even some things with our land use we're trying to do to make it more walkable. So. Trying to provide opportunities for people to get around and make it make sense to get around without a car for every trip.
Yeah, I mean, would you go so far as to say this is kind of like anywhere USA? You know, some of the challenges that Lehi is facing?
Definitely, yeah. We're, we're standing next to the transit station. This is really the only, well, I guess we have a bus line, but as far as fixed rail, this is our first rail line. We have future TOD areas. We have another corridor on the east side that is future transit. So we're trying to plan around those, and we've done some what here in Utah we call stationary plans to try and plan for those future stations, and as part of all that, we're really trying to promote the bikeability, walkability.
To really that first mile, last mile solution. And you know, with e-bikes these days, it's even more than a mile. You know, you could with an e-bike you can easily make it your first and last 2 or 3 miles without too much effort. I was really impressed by the number of people who are getting on and off of the Front Runner there in Salt Lake City. So clearly, I mean, from a fixed rail perspective, this transit connection that you have, very impressive.
Yeah, and it spans from Ogden to Provo, so it's a very linear metro area, so you can capture a lot of the population on that one transit line. And they're working on double tracking portions of it so that we can get double service, so 15-minute frequency at peak time. So it'll be
love that. That's
better.
Great. That's great.
Reduce demand to transit use. So.
and that station approach that you're talking about, is that like a statewide type of initiative that's really looking at making sure that we're building out some transit-oriented development around those station stops? Yeah.
The state is actually providing the funding. So any municipality that has either an existing station or a planned station, they have funding and we've been working with consultants to do those stationary plans. But that we can look at specifically at land use and the transportation network.
We've actually done one for right where we're standing for this station.
Oh, fantastic.
And this whole parking lot that you see here has about 600 parking spots. All the surface parking in our plan is going to get taken out. There'll be some structured parking to use the rail line. But we'll have mixed-use development here, office, housing, retail, so this will be a whole different world in the future.
Sort of like what we saw in South Jordan?
Just like what.
Fantastic.
1,800 housing units, and then some retail and commercial.
Well, hey, let's get moving. We're standing here near a scorching hot surface parking lot, so let's get rolling on the bikes. That'll be much more fun.
All right, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. All right, so we are just kind of rolling out of the parking lot here for the Front Runner station. Are there any other trains that run out of here, or is it pretty much just the Front Runner?
It's just the Front Runner.
The Front Runner, okay. And it seems like it's pretty frequent service, relatively speaking.
It's half hour at the peak and then hour off peak, but they're going to double that once the double tracking's done.
Okay. Fantastic.
Let's see, we're going to take a ride here. So on our master plan, this road is actually planned to have protected bike lanes on it.
Okay.
But the moment, once this development starts over here with the mixed-use development, that will provide funding to come in and put in these protected lanes. So.
Okay.
In fact, we're going to turn left right up here onto this. This is a bit of a strode we're going to turn onto, but we do have some buffered bike lanes we can use.
So what sort of population are we looking at here in the city?
We're at about 95,000.
Okay.
I think the last official census was in the 93, but we're beyond that now. So, but really this whole northwestern part of Utah County has just been exploding for years. Right. You've got Eagle Mountain and Saratoga to the west. So we're trying to make sure we're keeping all of that area in mind to, be able to access transit. They're advocating they'd love to have transit out their way, but so lots of work to do on transportation.
One of the challenges for Lehi as well is especially with the way it's building out west. Right now it doesn't support transit well because it doesn't have enough dense nodes out there, which could happen, but we have all this traffic coming through Lehi. When the major state roads get backed up, then that traffic starts bleeding out on our local streets. So
interesting.
The challenge of us, we really should be looking at circulation efforts to disincentivize that.
Right. Now I notice we're sort of rolling through, looks like more like a corporate park here.
Yeah, that's how this area kind of started in the Thanksgiving Point area plan.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of these office buildings here. And this all kind of came into fruition before we even knew there was going to be a transit station here.
Okay.
So what was it, the 90s, late 90s when all this started?
Yeah, yep.
And then the front runner station, I'm trying to remember which year that opened. Is that 12?
That sounds about right, yeah. It was just a freight line, and then UTA was able to get their commuter rail system on that. And there's another freight line, like I'd mentioned earlier, up on the east side that UTA has purchased that right away.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. They're looking at, it's kind of a combination of bus rapid transit and then light rail between Salt Lake or Sandy and down to Provo on that east side.
On the east side, okay.
But yeah, more of a local trip.
Yeah. All right.
Now we're
Get the climbing pathway here.
This will be our one big hill for the day. After
Okay.
that, should be pretty good.
Very good.
But this is the Murdoch Canal Trail, we call it. This will take you all the way down to Provo.
Okay.
A lot of it's grade separated, and we'll kind of point that out up here. And then it connects to the Jordan River Trail down here, which that trail connects you all the way up to Salt Lake City.
Right, yeah.
So you actually have some pretty good regional connectivity on the trail network.
Wow. That must be a really long trail, the Jordan River Trail.
From here to downtown Salt Lake is about 34 miles along the trail, just because it is circuitous with the river.
Fantastic.
So up here, used to not be quite this good to get through this freeway interchange, but we're gonna use these bridges up here. Used to have to cross all the off-ramps and on-ramps. Sometimes it could take you 5-6 minutes to get through the one interchange because you have to wait at every one of those signals.
Right.
And then, we'll go over this way.
Oh, this is brilliant.
Yeah, when UDOT rebuilt this section of I-15, we're really happy with what they were able to accomplish. We coordinated with them, and so we have trails on both sides of the freeway. We call it it was the I-15 core project, but so we have nice trail connectivity on both sides, and then they did a really good job with these bridges to get you under the interchange and over all of the on and off ramps.
And even this trail, we won't go on it, but you'll see it continues down where this person's running up here. It continues all the way down to, there's another UDOT highway, 2100 North, which is not so great to cross today. But on the way down there is a major road, but they put in an undercrossing there as well. So you don't have to cross that at grade. We used to have to cross all the freeway ramps and deal with all the traffic.
Yeah.
Now we have this bridge system.
Oh, this is brilliant, guys.
Get some pretty good use. A lot of people access the front runner train riding on this. It's actually part of my morning commute here.
Right, yeah. That's the other thing I was really impressed with was just the number of people who were on the front runner train who were using bikes and scooters. Yeah. Again, getting back to what we were talking about,
If you want to talk about parking issues, there's major parking issues for bikes on those front runner trains. So we need better bike parking, and last mile solutions for biking and active travel. So, because it's not going to be sustainable in the long term, especially a place like the Netherlands where you got thousands of bikes parked at a train station.
Right. Yeah.
There's no way to fit that on the train, so we got to start thinking of some solutions with UTA.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's another argument there for the folding bikes too.
That's right.
These guys don't take up much space. In fact, I was able to tuck this one underneath my seat.
Oh, wow.
On the train, yeah. Very good.
So this kind of loops around. A couple of improvements that could be made here is if you're walking, it'd be nice to have a staircase that's direct, so you don't have to do this big loop.
Right.
I will say this through was just widened, finished 3 or so years ago.
Yeah.
For $500 million just through Lehi. You can see it's already getting some congestion. Almost every morning when I come through here, it's getting backed up.
Right.
Just, we need to learn the lesson that highway widening doesn't solve traffic.
Right.
Yeah, right here, you just fly right over the roadway. And then this is the other path that goes down the east side of the freeway here.
You got some good wayfinding signage.
Yeah, nice wayfinding. Yeah, I like that.
Yep, be able to find your way around. And then some people have mistaken this bike ramp as access to the car dealership.
Okay.
So I've actually filmed a car driving on this trail before. I think they just got confused.
That's pretty funny.
The other major player in what we have today is our regional planning agency, Mountain Land Association of Governments.
Okay.
They are the entity that receives all the federal funding for roads and trails and things like that. But they've been great they did a lot of that wayfinding signage.
Oh, really?
And they were the ones that they were instrumental in getting this Murdoch Canal Trail funded. So, yep.
And we have on that regional plan, this is still not a great crossing here, but we'd like to see a tunnel or some sort of feature here so we don't have to deal with this road crossing.
Right.
But once you pass here, you're grade separated through the rest of Lehi.
Wow.
Yeah, I suppose if I were to fine-tune anything back there near the interstate, would probably be just something, something quote-unquote minor, but like a sound barrier wall.
UDOT's actually talked about that. They're like, hey, we ought to put some up here.
Just, again, it's fine-tuning, but really what we're talking about is how can you make it as pleasant as possible for people to choose that active mode, getting to and from the station, and again, reflecting back on what you mentioned, Mike, the amount of people who are on the interstate and starting to clog things up. Well, as many trips as you can avoid by making that active mobility choice super safe, super inviting, not getting pummeled by noise and pollution, all the better.
In fact, I might stop us right here real quick to talk. Let's see. So right here, this is kind of the intersection of two regional trails. But up this way, you can see that grade separation. So this trail does not conflict with any cars until you get outside of Lehi, which is another 4 or 5 miles.
Yeah.
And then this bridge is fairly recent. It's of the rail trail that comes through here. This actually goes all the way up into Draper and Sandy.
Okay.
So you can get up to the Salt Lake Valley that way.
Right.
To the south there, it ends in Lehi right now, but it's planned to get all the way down towards Orem and Provo.
Okay.
So we're at the intersection of these pretty good through routes, but just like the Dutch planners like to do, try and keep the cycling as continuous as possible, so you don't have to stop on these, especially on this route over this way. Going north of here, all the way out of town, no stopping, no real conflict, except for one at the very top. And then down this way, which we'll see, we've had some additional grade separation, but we do still have traffic light that we have to cross through, but that's planned for some kind of grade separation there as well. So we want these to flow, we want them separated. Probably the biggest problem here is just the noise of the highway still, pretty present, but there's certainly some of that we could fine tune, like you're saying.
Yeah, fine tuned a little bit, and you'd mentioned, Dutch principles, and I believe you have had the chance to get over there and check things out a little bit in the Netherlands. Yeah, why don't you reflect a little bit about what that was like and some of the key takeaways?
Yeah, it was amazing. I think it just opened our eyes to the possibilities here. And not that, we're going to be able to go completely Dutch, but why not try,
It's the principles that matter, not the actual, physical look.
Yeah, the safety, comfort, all those things. But I think I still remember, when we were out that first day or so and just seeing people that were enjoying it. I don't know, they just seemed like they were all in a happier mood. They're out on their bikes.
And that's saying something, because the Dutch aren't necessarily effusive. They're not like riding around with smiles on their faces necessarily. I mean, some of the teenagers are when they're riding in groups and they're chit-chatting. But it's interesting, and I love that you sort of channeled, Mike, that Dutch principle of connectivity and cohesiveness of the pathways and everything. And since we were talking about noise, one of the Dutch principles that they're trying to look at and apply to their motor vehicle network is, if a motor vehicle network and road, like this one right here, has to be there going through the city and next to the active mobility paths, then they really do look at sound mitigation measures to, again, make it as comfortable as possible for people who are choosing to walk and ride a bike and use transit. So yeah, it wouldn't take much, because it's amazing how different, how pleasurable it can be, even when you're this close to loud traffic, of just having a little bit of a buffer or a barrier, whether it's a berm or a wall or a bunch of trees or something. Yeah, just again, fine tuning. But you guys have done a lot of the big work of having, nice wide pathways that help connect people to meaningful destinations. So that's great, and I know we're going to see a lot more too.
Oh yeah. And it's actually interesting, this pathway up here widens to 15 feet a little farther up, so it's actually a really nice route, and it goes 15 feet all the way down to Orem. One thing I want to know here is, you see this little guy up on the top of this sign. We're collecting a lot more data now for use of trails and our bikeways. So we really want to show how they are impactful and how they are increasing use. This intersection, for example, we've got it up counting right now, but back in March, let's see, it's like end of March, we were getting like 700 people a day coming through this little intersection right here. So get some, and up here we have more long-term counters, and we're getting 1,200, 1,000, 1,200 people a day up that way in the summertime. So we're seeing some pretty good use. If you would have asked me 10 years ago, I wouldn't have even thought you'd get that kind of use. But,
what's funny too is, we're sitting here paused, we're at this trail junction of intersection of two different trails. We've got a gentleman just kind of sitting, relaxing this morning underneath a little gazebo here. We have a pickleball court and basketball hoop right here. Basically what you have, using Active Town's terminology, is you have, really safe and inviting activity assets, i.e. these trails and pathways, connecting people to meaningful destinations like a pickleball and basketball court, another activity asset. And yeah, I mean, just a little bit of fine tuning, a little bit of, additional things that can make it a much more pleasant environment for people to hang out in and linger, play pickleball. I don't even know who owns those pickleball courts, whether that's part of the building or what that is. Yeah, it's like an amenity to that property there. And who knows, that's a surface parking lot there too. And maybe the future for that, of the highest and best use of valuable land, maybe that surface parking lot becomes something more special at some point in time.
Well, actually, these pickleball courts used to be parking lot, and they took it after that. So
boom, right there.
More could happen.
Parking the pickleball. I like it. I like it.
Well, and one thing, we'll probably see a couple of good examples, but in our standards, we have some connectivity standards. And one of them is, if you're located on a master plan trail like this, we require businesses to put in a connection from the trail into their site.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we'll actually see it down here. We'll show you a couple examples. Part of the fine tuning here will be get a staircase down here next to the trail, so if you're walking, you don't have to walk all the way up this ramp.
Yeah.
That for some, you could walk up the stairs and get over there.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if you are using a mobility device or anything like that, you can come around this way.
Yeah.
So this bridge was an effort with several agencies all coming together, UDOT, UTA. It's actually funded largely by a Tiger grant.
Yeah.
Then UDOT put in some funding, the city, the county here. So it just goes to show that a lot of the stakeholders find the importance of making these connections.
Yeah. And the usage, they used to have to cross that grade at the
Yeah, the signal down there.
It's a multi-lane highway. Once this opens, the usage of the rail trail jumped.
So we had the Strava data, and I can't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but I want to say we had 200 crossings a day at grade, and after a year later, after this is done, we're something like 2,400 per day.
Wow.
So you can see, just go right over the highway here. This is really in line with the rail trail. And then this takes you all the way up into Salt Lake County. We won't make it up there if there's a mixed-use development starting construction up there. In fact, we shared one of the road designs on the podcast before. But that's getting finished up, the separated bikeway and everything on it. That ties directly into this trail system here.
What's the connectivity from the trail here to like some of these businesses up in here? Do you have a little connection?
So that's something we keep trying to prove upon. There's still a lot more that we need to do. But we actually did get an asphalt connection.
Nice.
This development helped to put that in there, so you can get from this trail up into these areas. And you got the Strap Tank Bar and Grill and Brewery up there, so a lot of people like to get up to that. So we just want to make sure that you can get from point A to point B as easily and nicely as possible.
That's the whole point. You know, yes, this could be considered a recreational activity asset, but we also want it to be, you know, useful for those utilitarian trips too.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, just like this person down here on the trail, the scooter, they're just getting point A to point B right now. So. So during our peak hours in the earlier morning and later afternoon, this certainly gets a lot busier. So.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, head on back
the
down.
other way.
Go look at some of what we call TOD, trail-oriented development. So.
Nice. The other TOD.
And it's best if you do TOD squared, trail and transit-oriented.
That's right.
Yeah, sometimes during lunchtime, you actually see a lot of people from the office buildings will walk out on these trails to get some of these lunch places
folks
down here.
there walking.
Yeah, you can see some cyclists come down the trail over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have 125 housing units. They're
Oh yeah, right here.
Planned
so we got
right
a little bit
here.
of a mixed-use development coming here.
and they'll have a connection up to the trail.
Part of their development requirement is to bring a trail up and to connect into the system. And as much as we can, we're trying to get these trail connections so they can get from these places without crossing any paths with vehicles. So if you can get straight to the trail network.
I think that's like really crucial. You can do that, and boy, you can really open up a lot of potential. I like to say it's sort of the hardware and software working well together. The hardware, of course, is building the infrastructure. The software is then building in the awareness activities and the promotional activities, the educational things, and really getting people excited about, you know, the hardware that's here.
Yeah. You got to make it all work together. So.
Yeah.
So up here, there's pickleball courts. Used to be a parking lot. I could see there may not be the political will now, but perhaps some of this parking lot becomes mixed-use development someday with direct access to this system here too. So.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the term I used earlier is highest and best use for, you know, valuable land. I mean, Yeah, why would you want just a surface parking lot when you can have, you know, parking underneath the building and then a whole bunch of other productive building use on top?
So right here, maybe I might stop for a second. Yeah. So this is one of those connections that our code requires now. So you can see you have some plaza space and a direct connection into the building. In fact, a couple of these buildings actually have their own little bike share. So if employees, even if they don't bike to work, they have a bike to use for a lunch break or something like that. So
yeah.
But
now notice too,
the noise.
Yeah, it's very quiet.
It just, you don't have to go very far, and that's what I'm saying is, you know, berms and walls and putting up, you know, a wall of foliage and trees. It doesn't take much, and then that constant motor vehicle noise becomes more of a hum. It's just a lot less assaulting to the senses. From a public health perspective, we see that blood pressure comes down. We see that, especially if you have some greenery in there, that helps with some of the PM 2.5 particulate matter. You're able to bring down the risk for asthma attacks and lung cancer, things like that. You know, the little stuff that, you know, you don't really think about, but boy, you really notice just the sound volume going down.
Oh yeah.
It's much more comfortable here.
Part of
that comfort. Yeah.
Well, one thing I'll note too is I can't remember the exact date, but we've put some bike parking standards in our code. So buildings like this don't have their own bike room that people can use to park their bikes in.
Yeah.
So we have requirements for long-term bike parking for like employees, and we have short-term, so you know.
Yeah, so you've got a bike rack right there, yeah.
We have newer standards. They're not all wavy racks anymore. We do the inverted U.
Yeah, just do the inverter U. Yeah, I guess that's what they call those, the Schaefer racks. Yes, the upside down staple racks. It's simple. You know, you don't have to get fancy. Yeah.
So we're doing a lot better with our bike parking. Obviously, all the older buildings, you know, some put them in just on their own, some didn't, but.
Yeah, but I like that standard too for the actual employees and residents to have indoor parking. You know, as we start getting, you know, nicer e-bikes and cargo bikes, having the ability to park your much more expensive bike in a bike room, I think is really essential. And we're seeing that in Dutch standards too, is that many of the municipalities are actually requiring that of their new buildings that are being constructed.
They're not all outside.
Yeah.
And you can get creative. There have been a few smaller retail buildings that it's like, well, we don't have a lot of room, but you know, even in a janitorial closet, you can do some vertical hanging racks, or we allow outdoor bike lockers as long as it's secured and not just the rack.
We have a development that for their long term, they're doing a covered, secure structure kind of out next to their parking lot. So there's different ways that they can meet it. But most of the office buildings tend to put them just inside the building.
Just inside somewhere.
It's too bad we can't go inside. Adobe is like the Cadillac for Lehi. They have a huge bike locker room, and then they have showers, all the end user facilities. They have a really nice.
There you go. Shout out to Adobe. Of course, I use the Adobe Creative Suite to produce all this video content. So very good.
I've met several, and I've actually met a lot of friends just riding the front runner train and biking with them up to this point when they turn off to go to Adobe. So
there you go.
Good number of people. So.
Very good. Excellent. All right. Well, let's keep rolling.
Continue on. We're going to head towards downtown Lehi up here.
All right.
But right up here, you'll see how there is an arterial road that you can't even tell is there.
Yeah.
But we'll just fly right over it, and if you blink, you'll miss it. You won't even realize you crossed an arterial road. You won't even
realize you just went over a road. Yeah.
So
the other thing I wanted to notice too is, you know, once we made this transition to where we have a little bit of greenscaping, you also just kind of feel the temperature level kind of back off a little bit.
Comes down.
So again, doing what we can to address that heat island effect of just a lot of pavement and a lot of rocks and whatnot. Now I know you guys are in a little bit of a low rain sort of environment, but anything that we can do with xeriscaping and natural vegetation, it doesn't have to be turf lawn, but boy, you really notice the difference.
Yeah. And you can do xeriscaping in a way like a lot of places, like this building over here uses a lot of rock, but that's quite hot. But if you use more like mulch and other ground cover type plantings and things, it can be a bit better.
Yeah, I think some people, when you say xeriscape, they think zero.
Yeah, they think zero, not zero.
Rocks.
Yeah.
So we have 50% of the space has to have actual plantings. So there's some, but here's the bridge that we put in. It used to be at grade, kind of take your life in your hands. It was a mid-block situation.
And the city had some funding. We've got some awesome engineers. They're like, this is important, let's do it. So.
Yeah, what a great job. And you're right. If you hadn't pointed it out, I wouldn't even noticed as we went over.
Yeah, you don't have to hike up to it or anything.
Yeah.
So.
Morning.
Hi, morning. So right here you can see, hopefully we can get through. Now I just saw a sign that said this is closed, but we worked with our power department. They've been super awesome. They're funding some lighting for the trail now so we can get some better nighttime use and try and deter any mischievous activities.
Right.
But we really, again, want to increase the safety and comfort. So if we can have a well-lit corridor through here, so it's useful, especially in winter months.
There's connectivity to this housing here.
Yeah, so we got a lot of housing. There's 600 or so housing units in this development here, and there's several connections. Although in some ways, I'd love to actually see this fence come down so it feels a little more connected to the community. But
Yeah.
some of it's private backyard, some of it's common area. So maybe the common areas you do something like that.
Probably ways that you can soften up this interface. We see another trail connectivity here to the neighborhood. So yeah, I'd say maybe plant some wildflowers, something to just soften it up so that it doesn't seem so stark.
Sometimes we actually get a bit of these natural sunflowers coming up. I think they dug it all up for this lighting project. But over here, you'll see there's this building. That's a new mixed-use project. This is where one of the planned stations are at, and this is a planned light rail line right here in this corridor.
Oh wow, really?
So this trail will run the length of that light rail corridor, so you have instant access to a great active transportation facility. Without having to cross paths with cars. So having that interface between the transit and this trail over here is huge.
Yeah. Very interesting. Now, how long, or what's the distance of that light rail facility? How long will that be?
So right now the plan is to take it from the Draper Front Runner Station down to this station right here for phase 1.
Okay.
And then in the future, that's planned to continue down towards Provo.
Right.
So it'll be kind of the east side of the freeway in Utah County.
Yeah.
Major transit corridor. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little dusty here, but I'm very appreciative of them doing this project and getting us some lighting along here.
Okay, so this is part of the lighting. Okay.
Yeah, they're running power conduit for lighting.
Hey guys.
You guys
Thank
are awesome.
you. Good work.
Yeah, I got all their conduit going down.
Yeah.
And then, somewhere right around here, we'll have a connection point to the station, but also there's a new shared path going in front of that mixed-use building.
Okay.
It's actually a very large-scale building. Sometimes I wish we could have maybe broken it up to be a little more human scale, but it's got, I think, 517 housing units in there.
Okay.
And then you've got some commercial on the ground floor over there. But they have a shared use path along that connects to the path along the freeway to this one.
Okay.
And then they also have done some traffic calming on their street internal to the project. You know, they've got continuous crossings they're planning there, and a bit more of a traffic calmed local street in front of the retail frontage. So
fascinating. So what's the timeline for this all to be developed out?
So the light rail line, they're still saying it's quite far in the future. There's a little bit of debate on how to deal with it.
Okay.
Our mayor and our city leadership has said, hey, we just want a BRT line and we want to get it in sooner. We just want transit service. You know, the state and others like the light rail line just because they perceive it as more of an advanced kind of transit, maybe can move more people. So there's advantages to both, disadvantages to both, but.
Well, just the fact that you have the right of way, like sitting right here, it's just a matter of programming, you know? Yeah.
And this used to be a freight rail line, but that's been abandoned. So now we can use it as the trail, and it's like a 300-foot corridor, so it's actually quite wide. We might even be able to work with UTA so you can get more greenery, or maintain some of the open space along here. So here we have a future trail crossing that'll go underneath. You can see the road's up a little bit, so we just like to duck under a little bit. But for now, we have to come over to the traffic signal up over this way. So we do have this Strode crossing. So our traffic engineers really been trying to help improve situations too. We missed the phasing, but there's a pedestrian-only phase here for the crosswalk. So to try and limit those conflicts of left turners coming out of this road over here. So really trying to give it just space to the trail users only. The only problem is we have right turn on red in Utah, so that's always an issue you have to deal with.
Going south, this is a 10-foot. It's a connection down to the frontage road trail.
Yeah, shared path, and that goes down to the frontage road trail and connects to the 2100 North trail system, which we'll get onto later out there. So that's really nice to have just the phase only for the trail there. And we'll keep going on along this way.
Yeah, this trail was built in 2008, 2009. It was when we had the big economic downturn in the federal government when it was under Obama's presidency, and they said if somebody has a shovel-ready project, they were trying to stimulate the economy. So this is how we got this built, was with federal funds. And so yeah, this was really our first big main spine of our system, and then the Murdoch Canal Trail that we were on earlier. So,
and the nice thing that because it runs along an old rail line is it hits some of the major points in town between the downtown and the employment area up there.
Yeah.
And it's still really direct, so it makes for a really nice connection. And then obviously there's improvements like graded separation back there would be great. There's an intersection up here that's it's a lower traffic road, but still could use some help with traffic calming and helping people to slow down and stop at the crossing that are driving.
And just really impressed with the number of connection points to the neighborhoods there. We just passed one, which is sort of a little cul-de-sac, connection.
It's like a mini trailhead.
Yeah.
This section, there's not quite as many connections down till we get to the next street.
Yeah.
But we'd like to explore if there's a willing seller in the neighborhood would like it. We'd like to get them some better access somewhere in the middle here. But
well, this is all an older neighborhood that was here, before the trail was here. Right. When it was just a rail corridor. Yeah.
Over here, it's kind of this industrial area. You can see some apartments back there, the office building. This is also one of those future TOD areas, so with the light rail line being right here. So we've got some mixed-use development in our plan for this area. And we had one of those station area plans done on here. It's not fully adopted yet, it's getting close. Right. But I'll have a connection right off this trail right to where the station is, and then kind of creating what they call Savannah Square in the middle of that development. They'll have a pedestrianized plaza, and where a lot of the kind of smaller retail and restaurant can front right onto it. Yeah.
I think there's 5 future stations along here, so that,
Yeah, so we got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 future light rail stations with this line when that comes in.
When you look into the future and you look at these stations and you look at what the future holds for Lehi, what's sort of your estimation in terms of population numbers?
We're estimating around 160 to 170, probably for full build out.
Yeah, so you're doubling basically.
Yeah.
Our average population density will end up something similar to like Davis, California. Okay. So it's not super dense, but it's also not, super low density.
Sure, yeah.
But that's an average. We have a lot of our town that's kind of a residential agricultural area, which we'll kind of get through.
Yeah.
But they have a lot of, kind of mini ranches and half acres. So there's actually a lot of different kind of personalities to Lehi. So,
right, yeah.
Part of what makes it cool, but.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much, Western United States, development too, patterns. Well, it's interesting you mentioned Davis. I'll probably be in Davis in a week or two. So,
yeah. I went there a couple years ago. It's really cool. Yeah. I talk about the Netherlands a lot, but it's nice and we had some of our other city staff go and could see, hey, it's possible in the United States too if you
exactly.
plan for it.
And what's neat about a Davis and some other places here in North America that we can look at where we have a little bit more of a suburban context is when you can have a network of off-street pathways like this that have those critical connections to neighborhoods and nodes. It just really, really helps out.
Yeah. I always tell everyone, people are going to get around in the way that's as convenient as possible, but also has to be safe. So So if we make it convenient to get around on a bike with paths like this with direct connections, and you don't have to deal with traffic congestion or something, then people are going to start choosing that a lot more often. So.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing we hear about so frequently is, oh, we can't have that here because, oh, we have hills or we have winters or whatever the case may be. And then I point to, Oulu, Finland, and they're a suburban context, and they have a whole network of off-street pathways. And, the kids ride to school at like 60-70%. Because there's a safe, network of pathways.
And for Oulu, they do great maintenance in the wintertime.
Exactly, they have that dialed in, yeah.
Another shout out to our parks department. They come and plow all these trails in the wintertime. Utah's a little different because we have a lot of freeze thaw, probably similar to like Denver and those places.
Now we're rolling through a little bit more of a rural environment here on the left. This reminds me of where I grew up in Lincoln, California.
Oh yeah.
I grew up on a ranch with horses and cattle and sheep and everything, and that's kind of also that Western mix is where, you can easily have a trail like this, pathway like this that, goes along some of the exurban sort of feels and some of the rural aspects of it, and it can still work, hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, the state, I'm trying to remember the initiative where they're trying to connect the entire state.
Oh, the Unified Trail Network.
Yeah, the Unified Trail, yep. So
the state has a plan to build what they call an interstate trail system throughout the state of Utah. So they're putting funding for it. I think they started with 45 and then they did 90 million one year. But they're trying to get a lot of these connections and looking at connecting within the cities, but also connecting to cities outside.
Let's pull up here for just a second. I'll point out something that you and I talked about, Mike, a couple days ago, but we'll use this as an example. And since we passed those folks that had their horses, on the, right next to the trail here, is, as a former equestrian guy myself, one of the things that I like to mention, and the context that Mike and I were talking about the other day, was that whenever we have these shared use paths like this that we create, we try to make sure that we create a nice natural surface off to the edge, off to the side. So over here like this, and the context that I was talking about was taking pressure off of the multi-use path, of being able to get some of the runners, they prefer to oftentimes run on natural surface, and so that takes a little bit of pressure off of the limited space of the paved surface. But you might anticipate where I'm going on this.
Yeah.
The other thing is that when you are in an environment where you may have equestrian folks, people who want to ride horses, the horses would much prefer to be on this natural surface over here. Yes, they probably have, metal shoes on and they can clop, 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 clop on the asphalt, but they'll be much happier over on the natural surface. And that kind of gives you the opportunity, especially in these rural, urban, suburban fringe areas, to also, get a hat tip towards the equestrian folks too.
Well, there's 2-foot shoulders are standard for our trail construction, but there are parts of town where we're required a 5-foot equestrian path next to the trail.
Perfect, so there you go.
So there's a couple of them that we've done that on, so there are some opportunities for people to get out and do that.
Where the zoning allows for the animals, yeah.
Yeah, I like that, yeah.
Yeah.
See, you guys are a step ahead of me. So, but for those watching, if you are in one of those environments somewhere around the globe and you've got, that equestrian sort of pressure of, oh, we would love to have, connectivity, meaningful connections where we could ride our horses to fill in the blank, school, work, coffee, whatever. So that's good.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, cool. Let's keep going.
Go on ahead. You can hear the noise level's gone up a little bit.
A little bit.
I like this street because it's pretty calm and I love the trees growing over it. But up here we have a freeway. But the nice thing about using this old development corridor, we can cross this freeway underneath it and not have to deal with any on-ramps, off-ramps, anything like that. So.
Well, notice too that we're not being pummeled by as much noise because we do have a sound barrier.
Yeah, we're down below, there's a sound barrier. The one issue with this crossing is it's quite long because we're at a diagonal to the freeway. So long, dark crossings aren't always ideal. They have lighting, which I think they should just keep it on 24/7, but We do have some great local artwork here from the teenagers.
Well, you can formalize that and get some good artists going.
Yep.
We actually are looking into.
We have that in our goal and our new plan to do more art installations.
Murals.
They've kept away from doing it on the wall up here for the most part. Next to the trail, they all hop the fence and go down there.
Yeah.
You're right, it does get dark in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they have the lights, but I don't really think
Turn off in the daytime, so I think they need to keep them on 24/7 just because of the how long this is. But because it's wider for that transit line to come through, at least it's not a super tight tunnel. It feels a little bit more open.
No, you're absolutely right.
some breathing room.
I think some artwork and things like that and better lighting can really help make that a more comfortable crossing. So now we're getting close to the historic grid network of streets of our downtown that was first starting to be implemented in the mid-1800s.
Okay.
We have a small kind of historic downtown area we'll take you through and take you by our city hall, show you how we've kind of implemented changes in land use to do more mixed use, but also how we're trying to develop a little city campus and open space area in downtown.
Right, right. So back in the 1800s, this was established primarily a town, sort of an agricultural area.
Yeah.
So it's pretty, until I think some of the more suburban subdivisions started really coming in 70s and 80s, but there weren't too many of them.
Yeah.
The 90s is when things really started to explode here.
Okay.
But kind of became a bedroom community, so transitioned from kind of agricultural town to a bedroom community in the 90s, and it was quite affordable at the time. But now it's kind of transitioned more into an employment center, almost like an edge city. You may think about that concept. But
yeah, well, when you have some pretty big name tech firms, in the area, that happens fast. So they tend to agglomerate. So
so they call that the Silicon Slopes up there.
Yeah.
Which that's definitely contributed towards the rising housing costs.
Yeah.
So there's pros and cons to everything you do, I think. But
yeah, we have Texas Instruments is expanding. They purchased the previous, it was IM Flash and Micron, but they bought them out. But they have a big master plan community that they sold the excess land to DR Horton. But so that's kind of fun because we have a brand new, clean slate, and we're trying to integrate all the really good trail networks and all the planning that we've learned over the years.
Yeah, thank you. And honestly, this is what people want too. They want places that are walkable and bikeable and have the off-street network of pathways. So that'll help sell houses.
That's true.
Yeah.
It was one of it would have been fun to see, but it's not totally built out yet anyway. But we have a new master plan community up here where the trail network's kind of their selling point. So it's where things get a little funky. The railroad wouldn't let us keep the trail and the rail trail right there because it gets too narrow. So I have to kind of come up along the Strode here. But for a short distance, and then we can pop back out. Hey, Brett!
Again, the great thing about being on a bike.
Yep.
Yeah. Even if your friend is in a car.
Yep.
He's in a Jeep, so he's pretty wide open.
Closer to being on a bike.
That's right, yeah.
Well, going back to the Netherlands, that's what I noticed when you come up to intersections, people would interact as you're not in these boxes, enclosed metal boxes.
You're not in a hermetically sealed environment. Yeah.
We'll have our bus right here. So that bus is actually our more frequent transit option right now because it comes every 15 minutes down this whole corridor. So it's nice to have that here. I've used it going to work. Sometimes I just take the train, the bus to work, and just walk. But it's great to have that access down here to this part of town. And it connects directly with that front runner train, so you can hop off and transfer down. So down here you can kind of see we tried to do somewhat of a continuous trail, but it's not ideal being right next to the roadway here. There's no buffer space. Watch this guy. And that's part of the problem with the Strode right there, is people are so focused on not getting hit by the high-speed traffic, they're not always checking the
There's no
sidewalk
buffer
control.
space. Once she's turning, she's committed. She needs to get out of the road.
Yeah.
And then, these have all the access points, which is not bad, but I don't know. We've been looking at better ways to
do these crossings. So I'm not going to complain because it's nice to have this here, but this was a very constrained area. Obviously there's a lot of space in that roadway there, which I'd love to reuse, but that's a state highway, so I'd love to see that changed into more of a one-lane each-way road, but I think it would take a lot of convincing to get them to do that.
Is this a creek off to the left?
Yes, this is Dry Creek.
Okay.
Crosses under here and it goes towards Utah Lake to the south.
Okay.
And that one has a trail planned all along the creek, and we've got portions of it in, but it's not fully connected yet.
Okay.
That's the thing about Lehi is we have 77 miles of shared paths here, but a lot of them are disconnected right now because we just haven't been able to make those connections.
Right.
So we're gonna turn left here real quick. This is where the trail kind of pops out back into the rail corridor.
Oh, wow.
And it actually ends up here, but I figure I'd take us over this way.
Yeah.
I've actually seen deer prancing around in here, but you gotta be careful about them so they don't get you. So then this will continue along the rail corridor and continue down towards Orem Provo. So this will be free regional trail.
Yeah.
The one thing we're really trying to push is making these paths as intuitive to use as possible.
Right.
Right now, that transition from the path on the road to here is not super intuitive.
Right.
So you can use geometry and striping or materials types to help with that.
And again, just the fact that you do have this abandoned rail corridor here, just such a wonderful diamond in the rough asset to be activated eventually.
And then where it'll link through all the stations, and yeah, you'll have transit right next to you.
Yeah.
I'll have to come down here and hop onto the street after this guy passes us. This is one of our smaller kind of historic centers here. So we had two small historic commercial areas, this area here and then our downtown, which is a little bit bigger. Got some buildings getting remodeled here, but so this is pretty active back in the day. They didn't have this big strode here at the time. They just had horses and carriages coming along here to access these buildings.
Yeah, yeah.
Once we cross the road, you'll be able to get a better look at the frontages there. But
This building right here is interesting because it looks historic, but it was actually one of the original log homes.
Okay.
And structurally, it was not salvageable, but they took it down and they rebuilt it almost exact replica. So it kind of preserved that historic.
That look, yeah.
Yeah.
That was nice of them to do.
yeah. Yeah, they've got some nice landscaping and everything. It looks very inviting on the front side. So this kind of leads us down in towards our historic downtown. We've got a mix of older homes down here. We've got some newer homes coming in as well. Though unfortunately a lot of the newer homes don't have the same kind of character as some of the older ones, so that's something that we're always working on. Here you have a park that's, when was that dedicated?
It's really one of the original, the first real park in Lehi. This Wines Park, named after Margaret Wines.
This is one of our
this is a cool
central gathering spaces here.
Kind of the downtown central spot.
Right.
We have a lot of our city events and things here, but yeah, Lehi is actually the 5th oldest city in the state. So we're
Okay.
Just didn't really grow until the 90s though. So.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I got some cool old homes, even some of the prairie style architecture over here. But one of the things you'll notice is historically the streets were all built really wide down here. So
Right.
it's always a debate we're having internally
Yeah.
as a city is how to deal with the streets, but that's something that can change over time, and we really want to get the land use right and make it a place that people can come to.
but at least we have the right of way here if we decide, hey, we're going to put in a protected bike
Redefine
lane.
it. Yeah. I mean, you guys have a good problem to have, which is wide streets to be able to redefine. It's a lot easier than having something that's super, super narrow and you're not sure, or not super narrow, because super narrow tends to be slow.
Yeah, that's better.
But the awkward narrowness, which is, somewhere around 40 feet or something like that, it's just like, there's It's just wide enough to encourage speeding, but not, just not wide enough to do, redefine stuff. So
I've heard that places like England have that problem a lot, just like narrow but not narrow enough or wide enough.
Yeah, we're coming up. Oh yeah, our civic campus is right here.
Okay.
And it was probably 10 or 15 years ago. I know at one point, this is a long time ago, they thought about, should we move all of our city administration, city campus somewhere else, like out at Thanksgiving Point, but they made a conscious decision to stay downtown, kind of act as an anchor. Yeah, so we have the new police station and then new city hall.
Yeah.
This will be done in December.
I like it too, adding some architectural flair to it.
So we used to have an old tabernacle built by the church, the LDS church that settled the city here.
Yeah.
They tore down in the 60s as part of urban renewal, and it's a big shame.
Yeah.
But this building's kind of designed, kind of reminiscent of that building. So.
Right. The tower and some of the arched windows, it's not a replica by any means, but it has a lot of ties, kind of the throwback.
A little bit of an homage to it, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but we're gonna hop on the sidewalk from Main Street. So our Main Street has challenges, but it's definitely gotten a lot better than what it used to be and what other cities' Main Streets look like.
Very good.
In fact, we may just go stop at this corner up here for a second. So this will be an open space promenade that goes back towards the city hall there. A big gathering space in the center. And then a lot of these lots are starting to fill in with different types of development. This building on the corner here is a newer kind of mixed use building.
Yeah, we have a little hotel going in there. And then, yeah, this is a mixed use residential on the top, office, and then right now it's office, but it could be retail on the ground floor.
The problem we have is the state highways get full of traffic, and this is a direct route to the cities out west, so we get a lot of regional cut-through traffic here.
Right.
So that's the biggest problem, is the amount of volumes we get. Never a right or a wrong answer of how to deal with stuff in city planning. It just depends on the community's values, whatever they value. But some things you could do here is either make it annoying to get through with more traffic calming, or you could just completely cut off a crossing or the connection, kind of like some of the Dutch cities do. I think we'll stop in the little courtyard up here. So this road here used to be asphalt from about here all the way up to where the bollards on the other side.
Oh, really? Wow.
So our current mayor was on the council at the time, but he really advocated to traffic calm it a bit more. So this is the result. We have a little bit wider sidewalks. We have all these planters all the way up and down, bring some greenery and beauty into the area.
I like it.
But you can see how much slower the cars are driving now. They used to go a lot faster before. So the risk potential, I mean, there's still risk potential, but it's certainly much lower than it used to be.
Yeah, yeah.
And cars are much more likely to yield to you at the crosswalks than they used to be. So overall, it was definitely a step in the right direction, but right now we're working on a new downtown plan, looking at land use and transportation, and there's a lot of other ideas on how to deal with it. One of the ideas is to take out the center lane, just have 2 lanes of traffic, but widen the pedestrian areas.
Right.
Sometimes you have to kind of take steps in the direction. It's hard to just do a complete huge change, and then sometimes the community, even if it could be good in the end, people fear change.
How long has this been in place now?
2012, I think, is when we...
Okay, so it's been a while. People have gotten used to it.
Yeah. It used
Humans
to be,
get used to things.
Yeah. People hate change, but they adapt pretty well when they have to change. So.
Yeah, it was a state route, and then we basically swapped. We had preserved a lot of the right-of-way for Pioneer Crossing, which is to our south a little bit, and UDOT traded us right-of-ways, so we took this over. So now this is all, we can do what, more of what we wanted.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the things I was going to point out is these mid-block crossings. They have
Yeah,
those
no, these are
median,
wonderful. Yeah.
but those were very hotly debated. In fact, this median, it was supposed to be a raised planted median.
Yeah.
A lot of people were concerned about restricting left turns and things like that. So that was kind of the compromise is, well, at least let's just not pave it all. So we put, this different surface in, but the raised baskets, you can actually pick them up with the forklift.
If you need to,
in the parade, we had the parade just a few weeks ago. They just pick them up, move them off.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're movable. Yeah. They have
trees in them.
a connection.
I've had a couple of people hit them, not really any injuries, but people also get mad when their cars are damaged. But I mean, safe system approach is about reducing fatalities.
Don't
injuries,
hit it, people.
Exactly.
Watch where you're going.
I'd say, you probably should pay attention to what you're doing, then you won't hit it. But
I also want to point out too, these old historic bollards or whatever these were originally, it looks like they have old hitching post kind of approach to them. Brilliant.
There's a mix of opinions on them because they are kind of to look like old horse hitching posts. Yeah. But sometimes the kids will lift and they'll clank them all the time. Yeah. So people.
Yeah. Or when you're parking, sometimes because there's no raised curb. It's all kind of at grade. So you see where it's hard to sometimes judge how close you are to those bollards versus a curb. If you bump it, you're there, but.
Well, since you guys have both, visited the Netherlands, you'll appreciate the canal side parking. It's pretty unforgiving if you miss there. You're in the drink. You know?
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you've got this historic sort of feel to it. You've got these old, really robust sort of protection to the pedestrian realm. I love the fact that you have that sort of mid-block crossing with, rocks that are in there, the ability that you can use a forklift and move them off during the parade. Yeah, I would even say, lean into that even more and add more of them in this mid area here and really, people hate flex posts. They just look ugly, right? And so I would lean in towards, we're going to be historic here and it's going to be beautiful. And I love the fact that you've got this. I mean, this is really that softening approach of using some of the natural features of the river rock and some metal. You've got an old architectural art installation here, but then you can drop in some pop of color and some flowers. I mean, this is the type of stuff that, makes activity assets like walkways and bikeways that much more attractive to people. It's what I call reinforcing, behavior change, is that when you do something and it's an enjoyable environment, you're able to have pathways in your brain that establish, and then you're more likely to jump on the bike. You're more likely to walk than just reaching for the car keys every single time. This is brilliant.
The biggest thing we're working on now is getting connectivity into the downtown from the other neighborhoods. We don't really have any separated bikeways or trails coming into here. I'll wait for that guy to pass. The center street right here goes north to south. We'd like to see some kind of a separated bikeway on that, so we're exploring that with our downtown plan. You're always getting mixed opinions with that kind of stuff. Sure. Some people love it, some people just fear the change.
We'll
we're gonna go see one of our bikeways here in a minute, but that's going to be one of the big things we're looking at. Our plan is just connecting to the downtown. But like right here, we have the literacy center where children come to learn to read and write, and we'd like to make it connected so kids and parents feel safe coming down here independently rather than having to be dropped off all the time. So
absolutely,
But
beautiful.
We can continue on. We'll see a little bit more of our downtown here, but then we'll pop down into the neighborhoods and towards our separated bikeways. So.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, just starting to grow down. Like the potato vines. So this right here is a local staple for us. It's our Lehi Bakery. It's the home of the square donuts. So here in Lehi, it's known for our square donuts. I figure you get a little more donut out of it than a circle one. So. But they recently built this new building for the bakery. So they used to have a small building here on site, but have expanded with that. Got our local bike shop here. They've helped me out a few times. So over this 2-block section, you get that really nice kind of, with the planter boxes, the nice design. Once you exit, it turns to more of a typical collector road. So the speeds start to get a little higher because it feels different. So it'd be nice to continue some of these design elements through more of the downtown to kind of reinforce more of the walkability.
Well, we probably should mention we're in the kind of the 3/4 mark, maybe even a little farther, but we hired a planning consultant to do a retake of our downtown revitalization plan. Okay. So it's looking at land use and some of these connectivity issues, and it's actually coupled with a station area plan for that. Right when we left the rail trail, that was one of the other TOD area, future TODs. Right. So we're trying to really dive in and say, how do we, best plan for this older historic downtown, and how does it tie to the station? Yeah. So yeah, we're excited to hopefully get that plan finished up.
Because that'll be eventually, that's a very walkable distance, from that station. So
it's a half a mile from the station to the downtown, and I got off the bus there sometimes today, and it's really not too bad of a walk.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a right here. Oh, got this guy. So this street, which is currently, again, a lot of our streets are quite wide, but the current idea with our plan coming together is more of a bike boulevard on this. Okay. So really looking at what kind of traffic calming elements can we do, make this a really nice place to be able to walk and bike. But
yeah.
To me, we really got to do those things right, though, to really, it's like auto tejas, just making the cars the guests. Yeah. So up here, this railroad right here is actually the front runner line. So.
Oh wow.
We kind of wish we had a downtown station here. It'd be great, but.
Yeah, they debated between Thanksgiving Point and here. There's some curves in the tracks. There's some other issues that
made it tough to do the station.
Yeah, it made them hard to do a station. But the next station is down about another 2 miles in American Fork.
So, and with the front runner, it is meant to be more of a regional rail. So if you get too many stops,
it was fast.
Yeah. So if they ever did like an express train in the future, which they've also talked about, maybe you could have some more local stations and some more regional ones. So here's one of our local elementary schools. In some cases, we've at least gotten some, curb extensions or things like that. But right now, this is not striped for any sort of bike lanes or bikeways. Yeah. But we've talked about, we have our bikeway down here, which we'll enter into off of the street. But we've talked about at least just striping up here to the school so we can get kids access. Right. Right now, the kids are either riding on the shoulder of the road or on the sidewalk. So we've been taking data on our new separated bikeway down here and seeing where children are deciding to ride their bikes and everything. And they definitely help spread them out so they're not all concentrated on a little sidewalk. Yeah. Some of our schools here in town actually see up to about 200 kids either riding or scooting to a school per day. So we actually get, in some areas, a pretty decent amount of kids getting to school that way. Yeah. So we want to really, just like you say, reinforce the behavior and make it a really nice way to get to school, not something that you fear.
Yeah, as you'll appreciate as a parent, kids are pretty resilient and pretty adventuresome. And so really when it comes to creating safe routes to school, what you're really trying to design towards is the parents feeling like it's safe enough. Exactly. Because the kids are all full of adventure. They're going to be like, yeah, whatever.
Let's go. They don't understand the danger. Yeah. So yeah, it's absolutely right. You truly want it safe, but also the parents have to perceive it as safe as well.
It has to be perceived as safe as well. Yes.
Well, one of the things we've done, well, Mike's done a lot of the work, but we've been trying to pay attention to how many bikes are at the schools during, the kind of the peak riding season, like early fall, late spring, and it's amazing. A lot of people say, well, people just the kids don't bike to school, but those racks are just chock full.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah.
We're gonna go straight here for a second. This is kind of the entrance to our bikeway. Yeah. This guy looks like he's gonna let us go. So we tried 2 separate bikeways. This one is striping only.
Okay.
And it's a little narrower, but we got this bikeway in along the road. You can see it's kind of a parking protected, though not too many people park on this bikeway. But where they do, obviously you have a little protection or the garbage cans out there.
Yeah.
And I may stop us here and turn us around. It ends at the traffic light up there for now. We'd like to see this go up to the school, and this could be part of one of the connectors to our downtown. Yeah. So we can just do a U-turn and go back the other way, as long as there's no cars turning into us.
All right.
But we did have a good designer, you know, trying to do the best we can with what we have. So we have the striping with delineators. There's been a bit of public debate on these. Some people are adamantly against these, but there is a lot of support. A lot of people really have loved using these. So I think at the end of the day, you can't really make everyone happy. Not that we shouldn't listen to anyone. Right. But try and make sure there's opportunities for everyone to get around safely. So this took no space away from cars. You can still park, still drive.
Yeah.
But now you have a separated space to ride a bike. So
again, that's the advantage. When you have such a large right of way, you can do that. You know, you can reprogram, quote unquote, not take any space away from anybody, but still be able to create active mobility options.
Well, I think what threw a lot of people off on this is that, you know, it's parking protected, but you know, these are all single family detached with garages, so you don't get a lot of on-street parking. Yeah. But the people that do park on street, like this Maverick
feel a bit
right here,
exposed out there with their car.
well, yeah, they just feel like I'm parking out in the middle of the road. You know, it's just a new concept for them.
Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah.
But, and even, I don't know if I should share the opinions of our traffic engineer. He should share his own, but he has told me, he's like, you know, I've made statements like public right-of-way should service the overall public first and foremost, but street parking is a privilege, it's not a right. But mobility should be a right for all people. So, right. Yeah. So having all the options of mobility is super important.
Yeah, another way to say it is, you know, it's inconceivable that we would store private property out on public right-of-way. Like, for instance, we wouldn't necessarily put our spare refrigerator out in a parking spot on the curb.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, but
to your point, yeah, mobility is a right. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. They feel like this is, you know, my frontage, and I, you know, they have ownership somehow, but
they feel very entitled to the curb space in front of their house.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, I got it, it's in front of your house, but this is public space. Yep. If a park's in front of my house, it's not my park only. I get to use it, but
yeah.
So, but we kept all the elements that were already there anyway. It's not like we took away parking in this case.
And I love having on-street parking if there's plenty of space for it, because it reinforces slower motor vehicle speeds in the travel lanes.
Narrows your travel lane.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I think one of the problems we had here is this street was actually so wide. This is wider than most of our typical ones even. Yeah. Even with this wider bikeway and having the buffer and all the parking, the lanes still ended up a little bit too wide. Yeah. So it hasn't helped too much with the speeds. I think if there was cars parked up and down here, it'd be a different story. Yeah. But also even having the center line stripe, I think helps make it feel like a highway. So we want to explore other ways of doing things as well. So.
Well, and that's where, you know, you start to look at other traffic calming elements that include breaking up the visual. Because when you're a motor vehicle driver and you just see this straight shot and it's like a motor speedway, nothing's breaking up your visual. And that's where having, you know, every other intersection being a slow speed traffic circle that, you know, has a tree planted in the middle of it. It breaks up the visual.
I think that kind of thing could be very helpful on this corridor.
Yeah.
Looks like we got these guys parking here to do their utility work.
Well, and our hope would be that this is kind of a phased approach where, you know, it may be years down the road, but we could come in where the striping is and put actual, you know, an actual concrete, or ideally some kind of landscaping. So if you can imagine trees on the left, and it would just change the whole dynamics.
Yeah, I think someday if we can really, this buffer could be a lot wider, like Kim said, with landscaping and trees, then you start to really reinforce more of a neighborhood feel.
Exactly, neighborhood feel, but you're also starting to address that heat island effect too.
Yeah, not having so much asphalt.
Taking the opportunity to depave whenever possible, because the more pavement you have, the more you have to upkeep on that. So it's not like you're saving money by keeping the pavement, and you're just cooking everybody and everything. So yeah, Tucson's doing a really good job of depaving. And so they're like, look, we're already roasting. And so any opportunity we have to depave and put in some natural elements, soak up stormwater when it does pour, because monsoon rains hit them just like they hit you. You're able to soak up, replenish your groundwater, and again, bring that heat island effect down and cool things off a bit.
Yeah. One thing that was interesting too is, you always hear about the sneck downs. Yeah. In the wintertime, our streets guys, they plowed the bikeway, they plowed the road, of course. But all these areas that are hatched were all left as snow. I'm like, it just looks perfect, like it should be landscaping all in there.
Exactly. That's a good thing that you mentioned sneck downs right there, because you could just totally visualize that as full of snow right there.
Yeah, I took pictures this last winter and I was like, yeah, for sure.
That's fantastic. For folks who may not be familiar with a sneck down, I'll try to put a visual in here for you so you can see what a sneck down is.
Perfect.
Nice.
So on this other side of the street, we actually have a shared path here that kind of runs along here for a bit. So this shared path is part of our power line corridor, which we're going to hit on a couple spots here. But that's going to go all the way down to American Fork. It's another regional trail. It goes all the way through town, although there's a bunch of gaps we still need to fill in as a problem. Right. It goes all the way up towards the point of the mountain, and it connects with the Jordan River Parkway up there. So it's quite a bit of it installed, but there's still a lot of gaps, so that's why it's not a good route at the moment, other than for local access.
Yeah, that was one of those, it's a really large transmission line, Rocky Mountain Power, and it traverses all through, the west side of Salt Lake Valley and then down. And we stood in that, and it's like, well, this isn't a good place for housing, but look at this. It's a nice direct right-of-way, or an easement in some cases, but let's put a trail in there. So.
Yeah, why not?
I do want to point out the intersections that we did do were more of a protected style.
Yeah.
So I was trying that out, but I do think, something that has more visual termination would be good.
Yeah, I mean, just anything to break up that visual so that it brings motor vehicle speeds down. A lot of times folks are doing traffic calming via speed humps and the vertical deflection, but the horizontal deflection is oftentimes more
like chicanes
effective
and all that.
Because it really helps with that visual for the driver when they see, oh wait, I've got something ahead of me that I'm about to hit.
I have to pay attention.
So you have to pay attention. And this is city design too. We think of this when we put meaningful buildings in the terminated vista. You'll have a cathedral or something, or a major city building, city hall, because that's what I'm heading to. I'm moving to this important place. And so it helps calm things down, slow things down. Yeah.
Right here, I just wanted to show, and we're going to turn back out to the bikeway on this next sidewalk up here, but I just want to show where we do have some of these kind of greenways and open spaces. We're trying to front kind of eyes on the street to these areas and try and use these areas, just kind of like Daybreak has those little pocket parks. Yeah. We're going to turn back over to the bikeway. Would continuous up the power line trail here if it connected all the way through, but it's not quite there yet. Getting close though.
Yeah, I love the connectivity of the residences.
With our new standards, any new development coming in has to have a certain amount of street connectivity and pedestrian access and connections to these trails.
These trails, yeah.
So the newer developments certainly do much better with all that. And this was actually used to be a mink farm right here, but They went through a process and got these townhomes, so there's a little bit of a mix of housing down here when it was pretty well just single family before. So
Yeah.
It was basically, we incentivized the mink farmer to, kind of, he was ready to move. He had people complaining about the smells, and he had issues with lighting, so it was kind of a win-win where the city granted a little bit of extra density and was able to put in a really nice townhome project, and then he was able to sell his farm, and I think he relocated out farther west where he's out of the urbanized area.
Yeah. And I'd like to point out too that we just rolled past a park area and ball fields and everything. So again, an activity asset connecting the community to another activity asset.
We have the elementary school right back there too that's connected into this bikeway. So in our data collection, we do get a good number of kids riding to school. Then the early or the AM peak hour and the PM peak hours when we see the highest use, and also when the kids are getting to and from school. Right now it's a pretty low dense area, so it's not like you're seeing constant bike traffic on this like you may elsewhere. But it still gets, I think in our data, between 200 to 300 people coming through this roadway here. So, and that's a combination of people on bike or walking. But right now it really is kind of a dead-end corridor, and it connects some neighborhoods, a school and a park, and a gas station that the kids like to roll on down to for their snacks. But
yeah, the Jordan River and the Jordan River Parkway Trail are just, beyond our view there, back in those trees. So we have funding through MAG that we talked about earlier to extend this, and it'll connect all the way out to the Jordan River Parkway Trail.
So this will tie into the regional connection.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a large road right here, which we're gonna have some fun crossing. This is probably our worst part of the tour.
Hey everyone, this is a great point to bring part one of this tour of Lehi with city staff members Kim Struthers and Mike West to a close. If you've enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and share it with a friend. And if you haven't done so already, be honored to have you subscribe to the channel. Just click on that subscription button down below and ring that notifications bell. And if you're enjoying this content here on the Active Towns channel, please consider supporting my efforts by becoming an Active Towns ambassador. Hey, super easy to do. Just click on that join button right here in YouTube. You can also leave a YouTube super thanks or navigate over to activetowns.org. Click on the support tab at the top of the page, and there's several different options, including becoming a Patreon supporter. Patrons do get early and ad-free access to all this video content, but you can also make a donation to the nonprofit or buy me a coffee. And in part two, we are going to be exploring a couple of brand new communities that have integrated an off-street network of pathways and trails into the community, connecting residents to all of their meaningful destinations, including many of the community amenities. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, this is John signing off by wishing you much activity, health, and happiness. Cheers and aloha. And I just want to also say thank you all so much to all my Active Towns ambassadors supporting the channel financially via YouTube super thanks, YouTube memberships, buy me a coffee, Patreon, and making donations to the nonprofit. Again, I simply could not produce this content without your support.